up? Welcome back for another episode of the Currency Club. I know that I always highlight a lot of creatives and small business owners and entrepreneurs, but it is important to have a traditional career as well. There is nothing wrong with a regular 9 to 5. There are a lot of important jobs in the world. And one of those jobs is working in the legal system. So today's special guest is Latarro Trailer, and she is a city attorney, but then also has a side business where she helps small businesses with their legal matters. What's up, Latarro?
Hi, Whitney. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Introduce yourself to the world. What do you want the world to know?
Not a lot because I'm a Scorpio. I'm a city attorney. The official title is municipal attorney. So I work for the city of Detroit. And then on the side, I advise small businesses and entrepreneurs on how to, be compliant legally, but also around opportunities to do business with different city entities or municipalities.
Okay, so working for the city of Detroit, tell me about some of the key roles and responsibilities.
The main thing that we do is make sure the different departments are compliant. So we work a lot with FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, and the Open Meetings Act to make sure that the meetings are compliant as far as how they're being ran and public participation. And then FOIA. So whenever people are looking to get information from the city, which is public information. So I issue legal opinions if the department directors are wondering about the legality of a specific course of action, or if they want to expand their revenue or way of collecting money, we let them know if it's legal or not. So, and lastly, we basically write ordinances for the city of Detroit.
So what is a day in the life? Is it a bunch of meetings? Is it a bunch of paperwork? Is it research?
Actually, it's all of that, which I love it. No 2 days are the same. We might be working also, like the cannabis ordinance just took effect here where it was passed, but then there was a lawsuit because it was abridging some rights, right? You know how you got like your First, Second, Third Amendment rights or whatever. So sometimes cities make laws, and the way that it's written or the way that it's interpreted, it seems like it's taken away some of our personal rights. And so then people will start a lawsuit. So it will be something from figuring out where did we overreach if we did, or, just responding to a FOIA appeal or a FOIA request and getting people the information we need, or meeting with a council member, because the thing about Detroit politics is that the council members actually create laws. So it's basically like if you got a state or federal legislator and they partner up on a bill and it becomes a law, the city council members do that here too, which is in contrast to Grand Rapids, which is the system that you and I are familiar with, where they have a very strong administrative city manager role. So I don't think the city commissioners in Grand Rapids make laws, but they do in Detroit.
So why did you become a lawyer? It's an important job.
I talked a lot and people were, you want to be a lawyer, they kind of spoke that into my life. So my undergrad degree is liberal arts, right? Just a little bit of everything because I like learning. I just naturally like learning. I like information. And when you go to college, you got to actually pick a career. And so I would be meeting with my counselor and they're like, okay, so what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to help people. And they're like, okay, you want to be a social worker? And no, I do not. Honestly, a part of it is not really having role models. In the absence of having role models, I just kind of have to go back to the last thing somebody spoke over my life. And it was that, to be an attorney. And then I tried to get out of it. I had a really, really good career in the urban planning space. It's that small voice that's like, well, but I thought we was going to be an attorney. And it's like, all right, well, I got to go do that. More so kind of honoring the promise that I made to myself.
And why did you pick this division of law?
When I was in law school, Kim Schaefer was running for judge and I volunteered on her campaign, and her husband, Bernard, he was like, whenever you get to the point of your law school career where you can do an externship, holla at me. And I did that. And it turns out he was a city attorney, which I had no clue. I mean, I knew he was an attorney for the city. And then when I got there and I saw the scope of work and the body of work, I love research and writing, period. I love to write briefs because I feel like if you write a bomb brief, you don't even got to go to court. So I like to get all my stuff out in the pleadings, right? In the writing.
Okay, so that's a good segue into like the education and training and skills that you need to do this type of work. So let's talk about law school.
So I ended up going to Cooley. I graduated from Aquinas, and it took me a year and a half to find a job. And that girl, I was depressed. Thank God MySpace was out. I don't know what I would have did if MySpace wasn't out. And so it took me 17 months to find a job. And when I finally did, it was a part-time job working for the Literacy Center, which I loved it because we were doing English as a second language. And so I was able to cultivate this professional network, very, very diverse. To this day, I still have contacts that serve me through that network. I was kind of, searching how we do once we're in a place where we're like, okay, what's my next move? And Rodney Brown, he had just came back to Grand Rapids. And so we were meeting. He was doing some work with Sika, which was the neighborhood association in like the Madison Square area. Oh, he just said it in passing. That he said, they just opened a law school downtown. I would encourage you to look at that. Again, when you don't have role models when you're growing up, you kind of depend on that external validation. And up until that point, I had received that in the form of grade academics. You do your work at the end of the semester, you know how you did. Well, once you graduate and you get out into the real world, you don't really have any benchmarks or anything to tell you that you're doing a good job. I mean, you got an annual review or whatever, but that's yearly. Like, I need to know that I'm doing a good job. And so I'm like, oh, school, I'm good at that. I'll go back to school. Applied, got there. Girl, I cry every day the first semester. It was so frustrating because my mind had to shift. It was a lot of reading, which I love to read, but it's about reading comprehension. So I'm reading all of this stuff. I'll read like 10 pages and write a brief and be completely off. So I'm like, what am I missing? And so, showing up. And two, it's funny, y'all, if Dean Brain ever watched this. So Dean Tracy Brain, I tried to drop out. You do like 8 or 9 semesters. I probably tried to drop out 6 of those semesters. I would go to her with my drop slip, like, okay, this it. And finally she was like, look, until they put a picture of you on the building and say that you can't come inside, you're coming here. But I was used to being good at everything without trying. And law school is very, very, very challenging. And it's more so a test of endurance. One day it switched. And I said, okay, this is how y'all want me to think. And from there, and it's funny, like I could show you my report card. I went from C's and B minuses to like A's and A minuses, like period, like in one semester. And then two, again, not having like the network and the mentorship and everything. So it was like I was on an island until I really started telling people what was going on with me and my struggles. And then a network kind of formed around the law school version of me. I was used to being just good at everything, and I just didn't know how to admit that I was struggling.
Did law school require any type of externship?
It's not required, but a school like Cooley, while it's not Ivy League, I can definitely say the network has served me in a way that you anticipate when you go to an Ivy League school, right? That's why you go to Ivy League school, so you can get access to that network and that social capital. And I will say, Cooley, at this point, they do have graduates that are in place. And so you reach out and usually there's somebody from Cooley there, especially in an entity like the city of Detroit, or if it's like a huge corporate situation or whatever. Cooley strongly advises you to do an externship. So I did a couple. I actually did a couple. One, I'm not going to mention their name because they don't deserve that. So I'll say I did more than one.
Okay, so you said your first externship was not a good experience. You do not have to tell me the name of the employer, but
Okay.
can you tell me why? Like, why was it a negative experience?
And it was a bunch of racism and just the stuff that you deal with white women. So it was with the city of Grand Rapids, look, because that is who it was with.
Am
And
I supposed to edit
so,
this out for legal
no, you
reasons?
keep that in there. No,
Are they gonna
why
be
would
like
you?
defamation?
But this is my actual life and my story. Like, you
All
can
right,
only use defamation if it's a lie. So if
teach me.
somebody's screaming defamation or libel, your defenses are the truth, right? Because if it's true, then how am I defaming you? Or if they're disclosing private facts in a public situation, if it's like medical information or things that will lead to you being bullied or harassed, any type of information that you'll have like a right to privacy, and then you'll have a defamation or libel situation. So perfect example, the Cardi B situation with a blogger. So when you are a public official, the burden is higher. So they can release disparaging information about you, not so much medical information and stuff like that. And I think that's what ultimately got her in trouble, was she was releasing like stuff that was covered by HIPAA. But they can come out and say all kind of stuff about you that because you're a public person. And it's called New York Times actual malice is the test that they use. It's a case, a New York Times case. And in order for a public or a celebrity or a public official to prove defamation, it got to be malicious. Whereas private citizens, it can just be something that we have a right to be private in. So the bar is a little higher when you're a celebrity because your life is supposed to be salacious like that. But in this instance, girl, no, not even that. She don't even work there no more. But the city attorney for the city of Grand Rapids. So I ended up getting this externship. I had worked on a campaign for a judgeship. The person that was running for a judgeship, her husband was a city attorney at the time. He was like, okay, when it comes time for you to do your externship, holler at me. So I hollered at him. He was working at the city of Grand Rapids. And I did not even know what a municipal attorney was. So I learned a lot. What I was doing there is I was writing briefs for qualified immunity, which we all know now is what police use to shield themselves, typically when they kill somebody. So qualified immunity, it speaks to them having that subjective fear for their safety or whatever. So I'm writing briefs, getting officers dismissed from lawsuits and things like that. And I don't know how this lady got to be in her bonnet, but the city attorney called my dean at Cooley and told her that I was sleeping with my supervising attorney. And luckily, my dean is crazy too, because my dean, she was a white woman too. So I think she kind of knew. Sometimes white women, they get on they care and stuff, and then they lock in with one another, and they all be on it because the city attorney, the deputy city attorney, it was both of them that were kind of undermining me, but they called my dean. And it just so happened that my dean was the advisor to the Disaster Relief Legal Association, and I was a member of that. And so we like went to New Orleans doing disaster relief and stuff. So we were like this. It just so happened that they called her, and she was like, no, like, So she pulled me from that. And then she sent me to another assignment where I finished at, and I was doing kind of like civil rights stuff over there. So I've been kind of got my feet wet in the municipal legal field, but I didn't get to get like solid in it, which is what I'm doing now.
All right. So thank you for that juicy story. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting that when I
Girl.
invited Latarro in for the interview, but that's good. That's good. Real life experience.
Yeah.
Your experience matters. So, I mean, beyond law school, a law degree, what do you need to practice law?
You have to be a really good writer and you have to be a really good researcher. You can't just research some stuff for an hour and be like, oh, okay, I ain't find none. Like, it's called exhaustive. You got to cross-reference and leave no stone unturned, which that's just how I am by nature, period. Like I'm just that way. And so it serves me to work in this. You have to be okay with being wrong. This is a body of law that's constantly evolving. And you'll bring an opinion to somebody today, and tomorrow a court case will decide and it'll be something different. And now you got to go back and change it. So I like it because it's constantly evolving, especially with the pandemic and the way that we meet. So, okay, can we meet virtually or what can happen? Or can we have a hybrid or things like that? And people think that, when you're a public body, you go, oh, okay, what's the pandemic? We just going to all Zoom in. That's illegal. You can get sued. And so it's like the things that are minor to other people are a big deal. So I think training wise, you just got to be diligent. You can't shrink away from challenges easy. And you got to assert yourself, because when you're dealing with the mayor, you're dealing with city council members, you kind of want to impress them and tell them what they want to hear. But if it's illegal, if it's going to get the city sued, you got to be able to stand 10 toes down in your opinion.
Okay, so this makes me think about how you are in a highly visible position. You are meeting with all these politicians, these influential people. How does that impact you as an individual? And what I'm thinking about is me and LT are friends on Instagram, right? We've known each other for years in the virtual world, met in real life a few times, but sometimes I have to censor myself what I really want to say and who I really am, just because I know if these CEOs I work with, if these companies I work with, if they see my Instagram, what are they going to think of me? Is it going to jeopardize my job? Do you have those moments?
Absolutely. And so you see, I go by initials on Instagram. Unless you literally know what to search for, you won't find me on Instagram. And I got it like that on purpose so that I can have that space. And then Facebook, I'm very vocal on there. I've toned it down. Especially with regard to like political stuff, because I'm in a very, very, very political city. Grand Rapids is political, but it's more administrative. Detroit is political. It's very political. And so I'm always mindful. Because you know me, when y'all do a story or something I'm seeing, but then I'm like, okay, nope, I don't want to offend nobody. Or nope, I don't want this to haunt me. And so I do. I'm always mindful of that. And I don't like it. I do not like it. But that's just how it got to be right now.
I'm happy to see a Black woman in this position.
Thank
I'd be
you.
like, yes, Black girl magic, represent for the up and comers, give them a positive role model. Let these young girls know you don't have to be an Instagram model. You don't
Yes.
got to get a BBL. You don't got to be on the internet half naked to get attention.
Yes.
Like a regular job is still cool.
Yes.
So could you just talk to me about what it really looks like in your profession as far as like people of color, women?
It's not as diverse as you would think it is, and especially once you start getting into a specialty like a municipal attorney in a city like Detroit. Obviously you're going to have people of color that are municipal attorneys. I work with one sister right now and one white woman, but I was just working with a brother and another sister, so that's just the nature of Detroit. Whereas in Grand Rapids, not one. Period. There was one, and she's actually the city attorney now. And then some started to come over time. But as a municipal attorney, is not a lot of people of color, definitely not a lot of or Latinx people, bilingual individuals or whatever. And so honestly, because it's not, I feel like there's a higher duty for me to show up as authentically as possible, but still operating in that professional space, if that makes sense. So just another version of me, right? Like not LT, not Latarro. Okay, what are we calling this version right here? Right? Like, so more like a fusion of the two, because in order to resonate with somebody, they got to see something in you that they're inspired by. And if I'm just showing up like a professional, then they won't ever get to connect with me like that. So I'm always sure to, insert or intermeddle those authentic elements of my personality into my professional persona.
Yes. So speaking of your professional persona, let's talk about your side hustle. You are also a small business attorney. Tell us about the business and the brand and what type of work you do in that space.
Yes. So Sankofa Law is my boo-boo. I started it in 2018 when I passed the bar exam. And it's really my way to serve people, Black people. Sankofa is it's a Swahili word, and it translates loosely into it's never too late to go back and fetch what is at risk of being lost. Sankofa Law, which Sankofa is the law. If there's an opportunity for you to counteract this BS that's going on out here, and I'm not a like fight the man type person. I'll never encourage people to fight the man or fight racism. It's more so about reinforcing Blackness and reinforcing Sankofa and reinforcing Kuji Chagalia and Ujima and the tenets of Kwanzaa. It's about reinforcing those things versus fighting anyone. And so I created Sankofa Law. I have a nonprofit, the Sankofa Funds, and then I have Sankofa Community Solutions. So I got 3 different businesses that kind of wrap around that principle of Sankofa that I use. And it's servitude. It's my way to serve people. So I work with entrepreneurs and people with small businesses and just really, serve them in their legal needs, but also serve them as Black entrepreneurs and professionals, and making sure they have the resources that they need, they're aware of. It's so many things that are, I won't say hidden, but you got to unlock them, right? You got to know the right words or the narrative or whatever. So helping to unlock certain things. And then just to create, I call it cosmic space, just carving out that divine space for people to kind of get their bearings as Black people, because it's always somebody trying to put a foot on some Black person neck out here. So I want to alleviate that through Sankofa.
Look, I imagine you're busy as a city attorney. How do you even find time to do this on the side? Like, can you give me a breakdown of the hours you might work on a weekly basis?
I usually start my day working out. I go to like Inferno Pilates or hot yoga or something, 6 o'clock class. So I get up at like 4:30, figure out what I got to do as far as like side work. It's usually like responding to something or just kind of like managing a filing or a pleading. Get to leave out the house at 5:35, get to yoga 6, do that for an hour, be back here at 7, make me coffee, make a smoothie, and go to work 9 to 5. I usually use my lunch hour to hop on a call. If I just got a new client, do a retainer agreement, again, do respond to things or whatever. So you'll always see me with 2 laptops. At this point, you can't do other work on the company computer. From like 4 to 9, I'm back, doing what I got to do on the weekends. So Sundays are devoted strictly to clients and, Sankofa Law stuff on Sunday.
I'm happy you squeezed in the fitness and the Pilates because self-care is so important.
Oh
Some
my
people
gosh,
just
yes.
work, run themselves
Hmm.
into the ground. It's like, you need to sleep. You need to
Yes.
recharge. You need to do
Yeah.
something that's going to help you out mentally and physically. So I'm
Yes.
happy you touched on that.
Absolutely. And even when I go without working out for a while, my eczema, like I got eczema, and it just started, okay, all right, let me go. I'm sorry. So my body tells me like, I'm taking on too much. Like you need to make some space in me.
So now I want to shift and talk about the money. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a lawyer because I heard lawyers make a lot of money. So as a city attorney, I feel like it's public information how much people can make. But can you give us a range of how much lawyers can make in that space?
So they typically make like from 55 to like 105. They do this huge range. People usually come in like dead in the middle.
And then what about your side business? Like, are you charging an hourly rate? Do you keep people on a monthly retainer? How do you make money being a
Yeah.
small business attorney?
So I'm doing retainers now strictly just because I don't have the volume to manage the smaller things. But I will say
Mhm.
I make more money through my side practice than my other job. The only thing is this body of law. I'm really fascinated by it. I love it. That's something that that'll serve me. Now this part I can't really say, but I'll just say everything all adds up and leads to something.
Everything you're doing in life is preparing you
Yeah,
for something else
yeah,
that you don't even
yeah.
know about. That's my
So I
favorite
got
line.
goals. I got goals. I got big goals. So I need this. And then too, to like do this work in a city like Detroit, I might as well be in LA or New York. Yeah.
So for your other business, like your side hustle where you're helping these small businesses, do you market that business at all or is everything just word of mouth?
Strictly word of mouth. Now I did taxes this year just because I've always wanted to do taxes because I love math, I love numbers. Now that one I marketed it. A friend of mine, she created a brand. It's called Text for Tax. Everything is virtual. Completely virtual. Like unless we need clarification on something, like you never have to communicate with the person. I did that this year, so I did market that.
So now I want to shift and talk about some of the challenges with being an attorney, either running your own business or being a city attorney. And yeah, I know
Hmm.
I keep saying city because I'm going to mess that M word up.
Hmm.
Municipal? Is it
Yeah.
municipal?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Biggest challenge is people not understanding what we do. And that's everybody, even the clients. I just had a client that was asking about industry best practices. And I'm like, that's not what I do. I just tell you if this is legal or not. But like I said, I love to research. So of course I did it. But it's people not understanding what we do. I have people call me on accident looking for code enforcement, but they're thinking of city code, so municipal attorney. And so, really having to get my narratives around what I do. Okay, parking tickets or civil infractions or, things like that. Okay, we're in charge of that. Any city law that you break, we're in charge of that. We're in charge of making sure city council, the things that they want to do, that they're legal. We're in charge of making sure that the departments, the things that they are doing, how they're collecting fees, how they're interacting with the public, that's legal. Some departments have to hold hearings, making sure that they're compliant. Making sure people understand what I do and explaining things well. Another challenge is, again, just being a Black woman in the space, not having mentorship. Luckily, my boss now is the bomb, and she's, committed to helping me be successful in my role. Another challenge is it's not a lot of room for innovation. Whenever you're working in these very entrenched systems and entities like that, you can't go rocking the boat. And I'm a disruptor by nature, right? And not even that, like as an attorney, I'm always going to find a way that we can do what the client wants to do. Whereas in the city, it's very risk averse. And so if the client wants to do something innovative, it's like, no, we never did that and we can't. Instead of trying to find a way on how to do it.
All of that resonated with me too. I would never
Okay.
survive in that environment. I need to innovate. I need to be creative. I need
Yes.
to, flexibility.
Yes.
Just,
Yes.
it's too
Absolutely. Yep.
rigid. That
Yeah.
job is too rigid for me. So
Yeah.
it takes a strong person to do it. Kudos to you.
Yes. Thank you.
So if you could do this all over again, would you do anything differently?
I would start a career in urban planning. I do have a background in that, but more so from a community relations type thing. When I worked for DGRI, that's what I was doing. But it really opened me up to how being a municipal attorney fits into city building. And so I would have got into urban planning way. I probably wouldn't even be a municipal attorney. I probably would be a municipal attorney, but I would be a little more innovative.
Okay, so what advice would you give to someone who's considering being a city attorney?
Get some urban planning coursework under your belt because it's a nice cross section of literally everything like sociology, civil engineering, legal stuff, because you got to know tax schemes. If you're trying to build a downtown, you got to know what entrepreneurs, residents, entities, what they're going to need in order to be functional downtown. It's a nice little bit of everything. And I really wish Black people specifically knew about that as a career choice. And that's kind of one of my goals is promoting that urban planning. Because, we hear civil engineering or we hear whatever and it scares us because that commitment is so substantial. Whereas with urban planning, it's a little bit of history of cities, redlining, so you get to learn about how cities grow, and then just to like the actual like historic cities, right? We're talking about Greece and Rome and Athens, and we're talking about aquifers and how you got the water to the city and things like that. So you learn a lot in a semester that it makes you a better person, a more well-rounded person, so that you can build cities in a responsible manner. So I think if I could go back and do things over again, I would absolutely get a major urban planning. And if it's one thing that I could tell any young person, it would be to explore that as a career option.
Love that because it's definitely something I never even thought of in undergrad, like urban
Yeah.
planning,
Yeah, me
city planning,
neither.
any type of
Yes.
development. Like,
Yes. And I mean, it's a career that even if you stop physically building a city, now we in the metaverse. We need cyber urban planners, right? Now we need the people to build cities digitally. So there's always, and then we're getting into GIS infrastructure and mapping and keeping track of city assets and things like that. This career is always going to be here.
so now let's switch it up and play a little game. This game is called I'm a Hustler. Yes, you love games.
I love them.
Nice. What is the craziest thing you've ever done for money?
Shit, work a 9 to 5. You got to be in one spot for 40 hours a whole entire week. Like imagine the creative ideas that pop up and go away. Imagine the way you could really be serving humanity. It's so much that the self can do, but it's committed to who and what.
See, now I feel bad because I introduced you by saying it's important to have a corporate job,
It
a
is.
real 9 to 5.
It
And now you're
is.
like, it's the worst thing I ever
Yep.
did. It's the
No, no,
craziest
no,
thing
no.
I
It's
did for
not the
money.
worst thing. It's nonsensical, right? Like it just don't make sense. And that's just because I have a credential that I can use outside of a job. You get a job for your social capital, not so much to find yourself and for it to be reflective of your identity and who you are. You literally get a job for the check and to meet people and to build your network so that you can do what it is that you truly desire to do.
Let me add to that. The
Yeah.
development piece. I feel like as an individual, you grow a lot on a personal and a professional level. And if you have a good job and or a career, they're going to invest in you. They're going to pay for
Yes.
you to get
Yes.
education, training, credentials,
Yes.
and skills like that you can use to build your side hustle or your business or whatever else inside.
That's literally what it is. And so you get a job for those things, but we've been conditioned to get jobs to pay our bills
Hmm.
or to get jobs because we haven't done self-discovery. And so in lieu or as a distraction from self-discovery, we will get a job. But oh yeah, no, I love it's my dream job. I'm literally walking in a manifestation right now.
If you had to come up with $10,000 in 48 hours, what would you do?
I'd probably do some expungements. I would. I do some expungements and then probably like sell some weed or something. Cause I mean, get a couple pounds and flip them. But I do some expungements. Probably do like 20 of them, $500 real quick, bang them
So
out.
you get to charge up front for that? Okay.
Yep, but this the thing because I mainly work with people that look like me, and I usually charge $2,000, and then I give people a deal of like, okay, give me 1,500, but they want to pay 500 here, 500 here, 500 here. So then I'll be like, all right, you give me 1,000 up front. So, but I only got 48 hours to make this, so I'm gonna
Mhm.
have to bust it down to like 500, 600 to get the people in real quick.
On to another game. This next game is called For the Culture. What is your favorite Black-owned business?
Definitely the lip bar. This the lip bar look right here. This whole look is this all this makeup is lip bar. Title. I love Title because that's entrepreneurship at its best. I love everything Kanye does on an entrepreneurial scale. This let me tell you the crazy thing. Everything I do is black owned and it just escapes me. The apartments I live in Detroit is black owned. Okay, Hall of Fame Burgers in Grand
Yes.
Rapids. Go Higher, Big Sean's cheesesteak. Really food.
So what's your favorite type of food?
Soul food. I was gonna say when I was living in Atlanta, there's this place called Tassili's Raw Reality. Hands down the best raw vegan spot, period. If y'all ever in Atlanta, go there. Best soul food place. This spot, Urban Soul, girl, they get all my money. I mean, everything is on point. Black eyed peas, potato salad, girl. I'm talking about it hit every time. Shout out to Urban Soul in Detroit. Yes.
What is your favorite TV show or series with a predominantly Black cast?
Atlanta. They get the contemporary stuff, then they throw it back, then they sneak an Easter egg in there, and then they round it out with some stuff that you ain't thought about since third grade. I mean, they do such a good job with that show.
I like Atlanta. I haven't watched it
Yes.
since season one. Tried to
Okay.
watch it last month, and I'm like, they want to charge me for everything. What subscription do I need to watch this?
I just
Yeah,
grabbed
I like it
Hulu
though.
last
Mhm.
month. My son, he likes it. Season 3 is everything. Season 2 is a little okay, where we going? But season 3, it makes 1 and 2 make sense.
I got some catching up to do, but I'm definitely gonna tap into
Hmm.
that.
It's worth it. It's good. I just want to just basically shout you out and shout out this platform. I love your questions. I love your energy. Your guests have been amazing. I think you're very thoughtful with the people that you invite onto the show, and you do a good job of giving them exposure, but also kind of unpacking who they are and what they do. Because there's been a couple of people that I've been like, yo, I'm so glad because like, what do you actually do? Like, I see you on social media, so thank you for creating a space for us.
Yes, thank you for those positive affirmations. Okay, so what is your greatest accomplishment?
This job that I got. For a long time, I wanted to live and work in Detroit, and people would be like, "Girl, you crazy in Detroit? You don't want to live there. You don't want to do that." But like growing up in Grand Rapids, and Grand Rapids people probably won't readily admit this, like I will, but Detroit was the inspiration. Period.
Still
And
is.
okay,
Music,
and
fashion, hair, makeup, all that.
all of it.
Everybody is aspiring to be like those in
Yes,
Detroit. So
period. And
I'm
whether they
affirm that
admit
for
it,
you.
yep, and whether they admit it or not. And so just being a teenager and just literally in our backyard, or so you think, you're like, okay, wait, this is Detroit, is literally in the same city I'm in. And so I always wanted to live here. I've always wanted to work here. And so when I got the request to come for an interview, like my whole life changed. And even if I wouldn't have gotten a job, just the fact that like, okay, Detroit, I can now. You saying that you to just be like get that approval from Detroit. And so for me, this is my greatest accomplishment. Like I live downtown. I look out my window. Canada's right there. You got the Ford Field right here. Comerica Park right there. Little Caesars
Yeah.
Arena right here out my window. Like every day, I just pat myself on the back.
Views, yes. Doing your dream job and you're living in the
Yes,
city you always wanted to live
yes,
in. So that's dope.
yes, yes.
So if you're feeling down, what song or album instantly puts you in a good mood?
Double or Nothing, Big Sean and Metro Boomin. Girl, I passed the bar exam off that album.
A
It's
Detroit rapper. Who would have thought?
Yes, yep. It's very inspirational. He's talking about manifesting, talking about crystals and affirmations. And like, matter of fact, he got a song on there called In Tune. I don't think people realize how tapped in and tuned in Big Sean is.
My favorite
Hmm.
song from him is My Last. Like that's when I very first, like when he first got on my radar and I started listening to
Yes.
him. Yeah,
Oh,
and this was
that's a
like probably
good one.
2006. But yeah, I've been a
Yes. And
fan
he
since.
just give you everything from there. And you
Hmm.
like, oh my goodness. Like, and then it makes you realize that the whole point of rap was to give us that. I would even go as far as to say Big Sean is not even hip hop. He's more rap because he's respecting the art. You know, he could pop his pop shit
Yep.
too and his hip hop shit too. He's really good at giving us a vibe.
Have you met
Yeah.
him yet? I know
I
you
have
went to his
not.
concert. Have you met him
Yeah,
yet?
no, you know what? He hasn't really done anything since I've been here. It's gonna be hot. So I know he's gonna
Yeah.
do some stuff.
And you
Yeah.
gonna be outside.
Oh girl, I'm gonna be right there.
We are really coming to the end of the interview. I just want to
Okay.
thank you
All
for
right.
your time, your
Oh my
insights, your
gosh.
transparency, your passion, and you just being authentically you. Leave the viewers with an inspirational message.
It's do you. And I know y'all hear that. Everybody say that. Oh, okay, yeah, of course, well, I am gonna do me. But I mean, like, even when it don't make sense and it don't look right and you feel crazy and everybody else is like, you sure that's what you want to be doing? Like people telling me not to move to Detroit, right? If it's in you and it came from a place inside of you, that is the thing to be doing. And so my inspirational message is what's best for you is what's best for all of us.
And for all the
Yes.
viewers watching, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join the club.